The wind howls across the frozen steppe, snow swirling in blinding sheets. Inside a high-tech tent, a mountaineer shivers, trusting in the latest materials and engineering. But as the storm intensifies, the thin fabric strains and the cold seeps in. Meanwhile, a yurt stands firm, felted wool over wood, perfected by nomads over millennia. Inside, a fire crackles, warmth held by thick walls, the wind flowing harmlessly over the curved shape. This contrast exposes a truth. Modern gear often trades resilience for convenience. The most advanced tent is a fragile barrier. An indigenous shelter is an enduring system. The lesson: survival is about more than technology, it's about wisdom. Modern expedition tents are marvels of material science, light, strong, and portable. But their greatest strength is also their weakness. To be light, they sacrifice mass. Mass is what gives a shelter insulation and stability. A tent is a thin skin over a fragile frame, offering little thermal mass or heat retention. When the stove goes out, the cold rushes in. Under stress, seams rip, poles snap, and the whole structure can collapse. In extreme conditions, these trade-offs become dangerous. Tents trap heat in deserts, radiate it away at night, and seal in moisture in jungles. They're designed for short stays, not true habitation. Indigenous shelters, by contrast, are specialized for their environments, using local materials for real resilience. True shelter isn't about carrying a bubble with you, it's about using the land itself for safety. Portability is convenient, but it can't replace the principles of thermodynamics and structural integrity. Indigenous shelters use thermal mass, the ability of materials to absorb and release heat. Thick stone or earth walls soak up the sun by day, radiating warmth at night. This passive heating stabilizes the living environment. The Inuit build igloos from snow, trapping air for insulation. In the southwest, adobe homes absorb heat by day and release it at night. Unlike tents, indigenous shelters breathe, absorb, and release energy. Materials like sod, stone, and clay use physics to create comfort. True survival means working with nature, not against it. Condensation plagues modern tents. Breath, cooking, and wet clothes fill the air with moisture. In waterproof tents, this vapor condenses on cold walls, soaking gear and sapping warmth. Vents help but must close in storms, trapping even more moisture. Indigenous shelters solve this with breathable materials. Wool in yurts absorbs and releases moisture, keeping interiors dry. Teepees vent smoke and moisture through their covers, balancing airflow and protection. Durability is another strength. Synthetic fabrics degrade in sun and tear under stress. Natural materials, wood, stone, sod, are resilient, repairable, and last generations. An adobe house can stand for centuries. A yurt's felt can be patched, a teepee pole replaced. Modern tents, once damaged, are often disposable. Indigenous shelters are sustainable systems designed for repair and longevity. The difference is clear. One is built to endure, the other to be replaced. True shelter is not just about surviving a night, but thriving for a lifetime. The lesson: build for the long haul, not just for convenience. Indigenous shelter design is shaped by deep knowledge of physics and the land. The teepee's conical shape deflects wind. Its circular floor plan centers a fire and vents smoke efficiently. Placement is critical. Never on exposed ridges, but in sheltered spots, using the terrain as the first defense. Builders read the land-wind direction. Snow drifts, tree leanings, all guide where to build. The yurt's rounded profile stands firm against steppe winds. The igloo's dome sheds snow and supports weight. In hot climates, raised longhouses catch breezes and shed rain. Every design is a direct response to local challenges. Modern tents, by contrast, are often placed for convenience, not protection. Their shapes are efficient for packing, but not always for weather. A dome tent can catch wind. A tunnel tent is strong only from one direction. Ancient designs evolved through real-world trial and error. Failure meant death. The wisdom shelter is more than materials, it's about shape, placement, and reading the land. Survival starts with where and how you build, not just what you build. History is full of stories where advanced gear failed at critical moments. Scott's Antarctic tents iced up and drained his team's strength, while Amundsen, learning from the Inuit, used furs and shelter principles that prioritized insulation and moisture control. In 2008, a storm on K2 destroyed high-tech tents, exposing climbers to deadly cold. Lightweight tents can give a false sense of security when nature turns violent. A lost hiker with a fancy tent may struggle to set it up with frozen hands, while someone trained in bushcraft can build a warm shelter from the forest itself. These aren't indictments of technology, but reminders of its limits. Dependency on gear can leave us helpless when it fails. Indigenous knowledge, how to build a snow cave, a debris hut, or a desert shade, can't be lost or broken. The most reliable survival tool is the mind, armed with time-tested skills. True resilience comes from knowledge, not just equipment. Survival is about adaptation, not just acquisition. Modern survival kits are collections of single-purpose gadgets: tent, sleeping bag, stove, clothing. If one fails, the whole system is compromised. This approach treats survival as a technical puzzle solved with gear. Indigenous shelters are the heart of an integrated system. Shelter, clothing, fire, and food all interconnected. In a tipai, the fire warms, cooks, dries, and ventilates. The hides come from the same animals that provide food and tools. The design is inseparable from the lifestyle and environment. This creates resilience and redundancy. Warmth comes from fire, felt, shared body heat, and clothing. The shelter is an active part of daily life, not just a passive object. Modern tents are detached, providing only a basic barrier. Indigenous systems are holistic, seeing the environment as a web of resources. The tree for a shelter pole also provides firewood and medicine. The shelter is a relationship with the land, not a product in a bag. True survival is about integration, not isolation. In a world of GPS and high-tech fabrics, it's easy to dismiss ancient practices. But as weather grows more extreme, indigenous shelter wisdom is more relevant than ever. These structures are libraries of survival knowledge: physics, engineering, ecology. They teach that resilience comes from adaptation and integration, not force. Principles like thermal mass, passive heating, and breathable materials are timeless. We can apply this wisdom today. Architects use it for sustainable buildings, outdoors people for survival. The greatest legacy is the mindset: observation, patience, respect for nature. It's about seeing resources in the land, not obstacles. This knowledge empowers us, fostering self-reliance and connection. The best path is to blend ancient wisdom with modern tools. A good knife and fire steel are useless without knowing what to build and where. Technology is hardware. Ancient wisdom is the operating system. The igloo, teepee, and yurt remind us the strongest shelter is built from knowledge.